Welcome to Josh's House of Nerd podcast.
Good morning, Nerd Nation. I'm Josh, and I welcome you to the podcast. Grab a cold evergreen goblet of blue milk and make yourself comfortable here at my House of Nerd. If this is your first time to the podcast, well, we're glad you found us. What we do on this podcast every month is we pick a movie genre, and then each one of us presents 3 movies of that topic. And then we give cryptic descriptions, and then we all vote on those 3 cryptic descriptions, and then we all pick one of those 3. Then what we do is we watch all those movies and talk about it on the next podcast, and then what we do is a rinse and repeat. Also, if you like what we do, please like and subscribe below to help us grow this channel and this program. Now for tonight's sponsor. Hey, do you like to chat? Do you like to talk politics or religion? Or to pick fights with your family over the internet? Do you want to show the world how big of a D-bag you can be by breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend on the open internet? Well, if you answered yes to one or more of those questions, then this is the chat site for you. Bob's House of Internet Fighting. Why fight with someone at your own house when you can do it at Bob's? Sign up now. Now,
yeah, the starting it off with the do you want to chat? I thought this was a completely different kind of video at that point.
Nice.
Josh is starting his OnlyFans.
Yeah, this is all just a plug to get us to OnlyFans after this.
Is that what it is?
Like you try us out on the Zencaster and see if we're okay switching networks, and then you're like, okay, let's move to OnlyFans. I hear it has great post processing.
This is Bob's House of Internet Fighting. Shut up. No. Cool. I've been trying to be a little thematic with our sponsors.
I've noticed.
Thank you. All right. Today on the podcast, we have John and Crit, and we are talking about this month's topic, which is movies that are based on a true story or loosely based on a true story. And this week, we're talking about Crit's pick, the 2010 movie, The Social Network, from director David Fincher and written by Aaron Sorkin. This movie is the telling of Facebook and how it came to be, starring Jesse Eisenberg, Andrew Garfield, Justin Timberlake, Armie Hammer, Max Miglia, Rashida Jones, Brenda Song, Rooney Mara, and Dakota Johnson. What a cast. And let's get talking about that movie, guys. What'd you think about this movie?
Well, this is there's a reason why I put it on the list. It's got all of the, like, this is I've told people in the past, this is like the perfect movie to get me to watch it, because it's Aaron Sorkin's writing, which is not realistic, but is artistic. So it's kind of, fast paced. It moves between subjects very quickly and stuff like that. But I've always enjoyed his writing. It's Fincher directing, which he's like probably my favorite director. And then it's about kind of a nerdy culture, which, of software development type stuff, and which is what I do. So that's, it's kind of that trifecta, not to mention Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross doing the soundtrack. So it's just like, that's the cherry on top.
Yeah,
so,
that was awesome.
I love this film.
Yeah,
this is the first time I'd watch it all the way through. So go ahead, John.
I actually watched, so I really enjoy Aaron Sorkin's writing, but I didn't see The Social Network first. I actually saw Steve Jobs first. So, 5 years later, I saw The Social Network come out. It wasn't really a big deal to me. I didn't really, I think I listened to the soundtrack more than anything, because I really enjoyed Reznor's work. Mm-hmm. But I didn't actually watch the film. I watched Steve Jobs first. And so coming into The Social Network and seeing what I feel is kind of some of the genesis of the way Steve Jobs is created, with the whole movie basically happening technically in 2 different lawsuits or law firms' meeting rooms. Mm-hmm. But the back and forth between that and how that kind of has the correlation out, or the juxtaposition with Steve Jobs with regards to happening basically between big presentations for big products. Like, it was very interesting to me to see the genesis of what I feel is that whole concept of, we're doing this alternating timeline type thing to show you why he is the way he is at the moment. So
Did you ever get to watch like The West Wing or Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip?
no, never actually watched
Nor
any
have
of
I.
those.
Okay, yeah. If you
Yeah.
like Sorkin's writing, everything he's doing in The Social Network, he did in The West Wing, which means
Okay.
everything that he did. So it's like, and The West Wing's obviously a long form TV show,
Right.
but that walk and talk, the multiple timelines, kind of everything, he had to play around with all that during those things, and
I don't
that's
think I knew that he did that. That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Well, and you look at Molly's Game and then Trial of the Chicago 7. Aaron Sorkin's like, look, I found a really good pattern for creating and crafting a beautiful story. I'm going to stick with it because it works really well. And he
Mhm.
does. And he pulls it off magnificently every
I would
time I've
agree with
seen
that
it.
within the Molly's Game. The way that is put together and pieced together. It's even though he's jumping around, and even with this one, even though they're jumping around a lot, I never felt like I didn't know what was going on with the
Mhm.
way it was kind of pieced together and framed.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, he seems good at that.
he is. Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like I said, I knew about his work well before this movie came out, and so when this movie came out and they were like, yeah, it's Fincher, it's Sorkin, I was like, okay, I'm there. I'm in the theater. I'll watch this because that's kind of my type of movie.
Yeah, it's really well done. Um I think the what sells me on this movie, and I think it's there for the absolute purpose of selling someone on a movie and hooking someone, is the very first scene where they're in the bar and you have that conversation between him and his soon to be ex, like literally a minute later ex, and you're like, there's something wrong with this guy. Like,
Yeah,
that's what my first thought is, like, there is something off here.
yeah. I think you
And
either like the film at that point or you don't. Like, either the film's going to resonate with you at that point, or you're going to be like, actually, I don't want to watch this.
yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Well, they set the
Because it
tone so well with him, like the way he is. He's just like he had this hot girl in front of him, and he was more concerned about other things. He wasn't as concerned about the relationship, and it just kind of showed him where right there in that first little just snippet of film, kind of where his thinking was at all times,
Yeah,
which I thought was interesting. Where his priorities were is the word I was looking for.
yeah,
yeah, it's a solid hook to pull you in. And I think you're right. I think it absolutely is the polarizing moment of, I really gonna enjoy this film and I really want to know what's going on and why the crap is he acting this way and what's gonna happen because of it. Or a, what? Okay. And then you're like, all right, I'm gonna tune out at this point.
hmm
So I think you're absolutely right there.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things that kind of gutted me the most about this is, and I guess I'm just hypersensitive about this anyway, is how he treated his friend, and bringing his friend in. What was his name? Eduardo.
Eduardo. Yep.
And I mean, again, they set that up so well of showing a friendship, but it almost felt like a one-way friendship most of the time, where one was kind of giving into the relationship more than the other. Um, I mean, maybe at one time it was an equal friendship, but it definitely shows that it does go a different way, to the point where he starts betraying him, and kind of leaving him out, even though both of them kind of had something to do with it. It's just I mean, the algorithm that it came up, wasn't the search algorithm originally Eduardo's idea,
Well,
of
the
being able to pick
basis
it? Is
of
that
it.
what I got?
Yeah, that's it's hyper stylized because that's not like that one algorithm drives Facebook. It's just more along the lines of representing in the screenplay. Eduardo showed him how to do it for the Face Smash
Hmm.
system, how to do the rankings and weight the rankings between two choices. So I don't think that's not how Facebook works, but
Hmm.
it's supposed to represent kind of that
He has at least something to offer the team.
Well, yeah, he becomes the financial backing, but even before that, the screenplay sets him up as also a smart guy, just smart in a different way with a different set of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he does definitely fills the financial thing, but different knowledge, and he'd already been working on some algorithms that they used in that face smash, and then and just he almost felt like kind of his support for a while, like his actual like um what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm trying to blank here. His mental support. There you go. Good job, Josh.
Maybe.
At first, and then it kind of he slowly moves away from that and pulls away from that.
Right. I mean, in some sense, they've got him set up as kind of the reasonable one, but
Yeah.
also in another sense, they have him set up as the old and stodgy guy who wants to do things the way everybody else does it. you
Yeah.
know? So it's like
The one holding back innovation.
right, the one that wants to put advertising on and wants to, the site to start making money because his ideas around what they've built is so much smaller than everybody else's. Um,
Yeah.
but he's looking at it from a very business standpoint and going, well, this is what you're supposed to do, and he's playing it by that book. Yeah,
And he is played by that book, and then they find God. It makes you wonder if what's the Napster guy Sean? Is it Sean White or
Sean Parker.
Parker? There you go. Boy, they make him look like he was
Well,
a fast talker, salesman, just a guy that liked to get in the middle of it and try to make his his creations off the backs of others.
Sort of. I mean, you cast Justin Timberlake, and you're gonna get some level of charisma, just in the
True.
character, regardless of what the true to reality character. I mean, that's the other thing too. Is like
But
Jesse Eisenberg. Mark Zuckerberg's nothing like Jesse Eisenberg. Even Mark Zuckerberg came out and said it was an entertaining show, but nobody talks like that. He already said something along the lines of like, "I wish I'd have sounded that cool."
yeah.
Because that's
But-
Sorkin's writing and Eisenberg's delivery. That this isn't
at the same
reality.
time. At the same time, though, Sean Parker is fairly well known for being a little off the hat like that. I mean, you look at his interactions with it was kind of a big deal. His interactions with Notch Pearson from Minecraft.
Yeah.
Very very kind of similar feel, flying him out. Doing it didn't like strike me as this isn't Sean Parker. I think honestly, out of all the characters playing in this movie, he was one of the ones I felt was probably closer to real life
Really?
than others.
I don't know. I can't agree with that because
obviously I
everybody in
don't
this
know
movie-
real life, but
Yeah, none of us know these guys, and I take
we only know what we see.
yeah, we only know what we see, and we only know what has been promoted, right? It's like if you think that a celebrity, even if it's a nerd celebrity from the tech industry and not from the movie industry, if you think you know what they're like just because you've read a couple of articles or seen an interview or two, that might be stretching your knowledge a little too far. I mean, we all shouldn't do
Sure.
that. We should just be like, okay, this is a screenplay written by Aaron Sorkin. He didn't write it to be realistic. He wrote it to
True.
be entertaining. So these characters are not the same as the characters in real life because, of course, they aren't. They're screenplay. They're actors. It's not the same. So I'd like to separate the two a bit and say Sean Parker probably, might have some aspects of what was in the film, but that was Justin Timberlake playing Sean Parker
Mm-mm.
What about
in an Aaron
Zuckerberg?
Sorkin movie.
Right.
You think Zuckerberg was any way like he portrayed him?
I don't think I think Zuckerberg can be like that in a way, but obviously wasn't exactly like that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like he didn't talk that way because nobody talks like how Aaron Sorkin writes speech. I mean, it's just nobody does that.
Or how Jesse Eisenberg delivers it.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like once you filter reality, and all of this is coming from a book that Aaron Sorkin said he didn't even care about the Facebook aspect of it. He wanted to tell the story about friendship and loyalty and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
power and class. And so it's like,
Well, in all honesty, Crit,
Oh, that
that's
movie-
the part that hit me the most. That was the part that devastated me the most, I think, is how is the friendships part of it. And if that's what his
Yeah.
aim was, then
Yeah.
good job, because that's the part that probably devastated me the most watching that movie, and devastated in a good way, because I felt feelings for all of them in their interactions as friends.
Yeah, and
It
even the book that this is based on, Sorkin didn't even read most of it before he wrote the screenplay. He said
that's
it was
interesting.
like 80% done with the screenplay by the time he actually saw the book.
Yeah. It made me really pissed off at rich people, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Just the scenes of decadence, like post the race, and it's just like, frick, man, rich people are bonkers. Like, it's just the absolute privilege and thing that Sorkin and Fincher were able to portray just makes you like just very unobtainable, and just like, how the people live like this, and it's bonkers.
Yeah.
So it pissed me off, honestly. I mean, he did a great job of making you piss off at the Winklevosses, and I was, I wasn't necessarily angry about their whole, stupid thing with Facebook, but partially their idea of, they stole our idea, and it's an idea, they didn't steal code, didn't steal any of that, and then just their sheer arrogance going to talk to the head of Harvard, the dean or whatever it was they were talking to, and it's just like, man. People are absolutely like that with family money, and man, just made me pissed off.
I mean, I think they did I think overall they did a really good job with like making them assholes, but not the worst, right? Like there's
Definitely not the
levels
Right.
where they're just
definitely not
like,
the worst.
yeah, they're just like, okay, let's talk to the guy. Let's try to be reasonable. Like they've got an old school idea around this that, I mean, the movie does I would say a very very clear job of setting up that whether or not uh, Eisenberg's character actually stole the idea, like you can steal an idea. That's a weird sentence, but
Well,
um, he did take their idea and do it himself and keep them on the hook for the while. Yeah,
it's just like his quote
he
when
was
he's talking about
dishonest
the
about it.
chair.
Yeah, he's dishonest about it. He was not an honest person in this.
No, and I think it goes back to that quote he was making. Oh crap! I just lost my connection. Hold on.
Lost your connection. We
There
can
we
still
go.
hear you.
Yeah, we can hear. He just wants me to be able. He just wants me to
Okay.
do more.
Sorry,
editing.
no, my AirPods switched to my phone for whatever reason.
Oh, weird.
So I was like, you couldn't
just
hear anything. I'm like, what's going on?
You just want to make me edit. That's what you want to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I do that on purpose. No, but what I was saying was when he quotes where he starts talking about the chairs, like, are you going to sue anyone who's ever built a chair because you had an idea for a chair? Like, it was an interesting concept. But talking about hating the characters and kind of building that, I think it to me at least, it was important that I knew where I stood with Zuckerberg before I went into it. Like, I'm not making personal moral judgments about Zuckerberg. I can't, because I don't know him personally.
Okay.
But what I can do is judge him at least a little bit on the actions of Facebook and his company, and
For sure.
not say he's a horrible individual, but at the same time, I'm not a big fan of anyone that has created a company like Facebook has and is doing what they're doing with regards to misinformation, which is kind of new. But all of the analytics and selling in personal information, and granted, you're the customer, and if you're wanting something for free, you're gonna have to give something else up. But to me, like, I was going into this film already not liking Zuckerberg very much because of what I perceive his moral standpoints are when it comes to Facebook and individuals and privacy and that whole issue. And so I think it speaks to Fincher and Sorkin that I was able to leave most of that at the door and focus more on what you were talking about, Crit, which is the relationships between the people, not the Facebook portion, but the relationships.
Yeah, and
which was powerful.
And I think that helps because I think the movie's a little bit timeless, just a little. I mean, it's obviously stuck in its time. There's, it's about a thing, but I think because of the interactions between the relationships of the people and stuff like that, that this might be a movie that ages pretty well.
I think it'll age fantastic. I don't
I
think
think it will too.
Facebook's ever. I mean, it'll go away obviously eventually, but it's such a big part of everyone's. General population, and has been for so long, and probably will continue in some aspect, that I think this movie is going to age beautifully.
You
Well,
know,
what it reminds me of is Wall Street.
mhm.
And that movie that came out, in the late 80s is still pretty timeless. You can
Yeah, it
watch it
is.
now and get the same feelings and messages. It's relatable, even though everything they're talking about is of that time. I get the same impression.
You know, it makes you wonder. I that kind of threw an interesting thought into my head about what you just said about Facebook eventually going away, and that's hard to believe on how big it is right now if it will go away. But there's been, I guess, bigger things, and it's hilarious that he's in this movie. But there's bigger things like MySpace that Justin Timberlake. I know at one point in the recently he was an owner. He was the owner of MySpace, and
Mhm.
how big that was, and everybody thought that was the juggernaut and that was the end all of end all. And then Facebook came around, and it still makes you wonder if it can fail, if there's something else that would come by and knock it down for as big as it is right now.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, I kind of separate the movie from Facebook because I'm not on Facebook. I don't care about it. Um, I don't think it's good for anybody personally, but the movie I feel is a little different because it's whether it's how accurate it is, it's about something that happened in time. Like you can't obviously Facebook happened and was started, and this tells a story around that,
Hmm.
which I thought was interesting. But I think what fascinates me about the story and kind of its delivery is that it's talking about uh kind of what you like, where you're going to focus, where each personality is going to focus, as far as do the people around them matter more than the opportunities, or do the opportunities matter more around them, right? And how you value each other based on where your choices are, when it comes to that. And it always kind of speaks to me and from that personality standpoint of kind of where does each of us stand on that spectrum.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, Facebook was there as just this, so you understand context, and as the driving conflicting force. But I appreciate Fincher and Sorkin not like spending a ton of time on Facebook itself, on technical details of it, or
Yep.
whether or not it was going to fail, or how many, they used the how many users are on the system only to drive the it's successful.
Yeah, it was a
Okay, now
vehicle.
pay attention to the characters again.
Yeah.
Right.
And I really appreciate that, because I didn't go into it wanting a movie on the actual platform.
Hmm.
So
And if they had
it's
done that, it wouldn't have probably been as popular or done as
correct.
well as if they'd gone into that kind of more nerdy side of it.
Yep.
Now I do have a question. For those of you who don't know, we all at one point in time worked at the same company, all of us here on the podcast. And my question to Crit, because Crit was the one that was w- pretty instrumental in hiring me, is why was the interview for Kayani not the same as the interview for Facebook? I don't remember getting drunk and trying to root access any of your servers. I feel like I was cheated out of an interview experience.
Well, I mean, obviously you can create that interview experience yourself at any point in time.
Just come wasted. I thought this was a social network thing.
Yeah, as far as the efficacy of figuring out if somebody can think clearly while they're inebriated and all
Yeah,
that
that
pressure's
was.
on them, it depends on what you're trying to hire for. And I think this is the thing that I don't like, which is the idea of like kind of this fraternity style college
Mhm.
lifestyle company startup. And I really, what it comes down to is I'm just too old for it. I don't
Yeah.
have any uh, strong positive feelings towards that environment, and so therefore I never kind of set it up at our previous place. And then
Well,
in this movie, I find it super cringe, like
I agree.
super cringe. Like I'm like, okay, congratulations, you're trying to find the best people out of the pool of people around you at this college. You found the people that are going to drink a lot, which is fine. I'm not
Or
against
do what you
measuring
tell them
myself.
to. I mean, or
Right.
just give in to like whatever pressure to get ahead, and maybe that's what you're going for. Maybe you're going for someone that's just gonna
Well,
use
I
up
think,
their entire life for you.
yeah, I don't think that, at least portrayed, like if anybody gets an idea, like if a young person watches The Social Network and thinks this is how you find talent, I think what they're going to find is that talent isn't where they think it's going to be.
Agreed.
Um, and that's fine. You can take a person um, that is capable of thinking under high pressure like that and solving a hard problem under high pressure like that, but that talent isn't day to day, right? That's not every day. That's like once a
No,
month at worst, or once a week
like
at
you
worst.
don't know how consistent they're gonna be. Like
Right.
it's not a good indicator of anything except for that particular one time. They were able to accomplish this. And they were okay with our frat mentality and
Yeah, I mean,
this
if you're going,
startup mentality and
if you're
lifestyle.
going, this is the environment you're going to work in, and then in that case, it is the perfect interview method, because what you've done is you've set up an environment for the interview. This is exactly like the work environment they're going to go into, and you immediately weed out all of the developers who don't want to be a part of that, which actually is a positive for your company since you're going to run it that way. Right. And it's
Right.
like, okay, if you want this to, if you want to run a place like this, and that's what it's going to be, it's a great filter for that. And, but at the same time, I think it's also Sorkin writing Zuckerberg and Fincher directing Eisenberg as a kind of a flex. Like he's popular enough in the school because of what he's built to
To
basically put
do this,
this, yeah, to
to
do
put
this,
this
to get the
together.
note, yeah, to put this together, get the notoriety, get anybody to show up and participate and think it's a good idea. So I really do think it's a flex. I really don't think it's like I mean, it probably happened because that's kind of how things work, but and it probably happened many times. I bet it probably wasn't just one incident, but yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's effective all around outside of,
No,
basically showing what the environment's going to
it's
be
a
like.
fun freaking scene to watch, though.
Oh, for
I will
sure. It's
admit
great
that it's
entertainment. Yeah.
amazing entertainment. And then I think Garfield knocks it out of the park in that scene because you can absolutely tell the uncomfortable attitude he has
Oh,
coming
man.
into that, and just like, and then eventually, like, you can see him waging this internal battle with himself, and eventually just shoving it to the side and being, okay, I'm just gonna swallow this right now and try to be okay. And I think he
Also,
Well, he kind
knocked
of
it out of the
has to
park.
be. He's kind of forced to be. I mean, he wants to be along for the ride, and this is what Zuckerberg wants in the movie. And I mean, I feel like he almost is obligated to go along with the ride
I,
if he
I
wants to be
think,
a part of it and not be left behind.
yeah, I think all of Eduardo's scenes, everything that, um, all those scenes were actually great. I think Andrew Garfield was great as Eduardo, and the writing form was great. I mean, the confrontation between him and Mark and Sean at the end of the movie was that's just an awesome setup where he
It was
walks up and
great.
smashes the laptop, and you know I like standing next to you, Sean, because you make me look so tough. I mean, that is just a
Amazing
great
writing.
moment. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a great
It's pretty
moment.
awesome.
Well, and Andrew Garfield does so well. I
Yeah.
don't know, if I'd say he's like overlooked, maybe just because he got popular a little bit more with the Spider-Man reboot that came out, but I absolutely enjoy his acting. Seeing him in this, and then the silence.
Hmm.
Well,
Holy
he
cow,
got
does
kind
he
of a
have
little
a
bit of a
fantastic
bad
range?
boy or a bad attitude kind of vibe out there. That's why he got released. They said from Amazing Spider-Man 3 was that he was talking crap against the company and all that stuff. So he's got a little bit of a something on his side a little bit that's kind of offended people. Me personally, I
Uh,
think he's great in his acting. Everything I've seen him in, I enjoy.
yeah, I really this him in this, and then the silence. The Scorsese film is just
What is the
fantastic
silence?
acting. That follows two Jesuit priests on the Isle of Japan, or the
Hmm.
Isle of, well, in Japan, I think the Isle of Okinawa. Can't remember which one it is.
Yeah, it's a It's what was it the last? What was the last movie that what's his face made?
Scorsese did.
Scorsese did it? Is it?
I don't think it's the last one though.
It's a Scorsese movie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
he wanted to make that film for
Like 50 years or something. Yeah.
yeah
Oh, my goodness.
decades,
Yeah.
and he finally had basically the go ahead to be like, all right, I get to do what I want to do.
And it's actually a really good movie. But I mean, I'm sure we'll watch it at some point here on this podcast.
Sounds like we
Yeah.
need to at a certain time.
No, and it looks like he's done other things. The Irishman was I think the latest one. And then he did documentary.
He kind of got a bad boy vibe for a little while when he was released from Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3. But I don't. It wasn't long lasting.
Andrew, yeah.
Yeah,
And-
but he's got a new film coming out that I just cannot wait for. It's Killers of the Flower Moon.
This
Scorsese
is
or
um,
Andrew.
Scorsese.
Oh,
Scorsese's.
Okay, I think
You
we're all
two-
talking
Sorry.
about three different people here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed Andrew. My bad. I missed the shift away from Scorsese. Apologize. But no, he's got that coming out, and then The Devil in the White City, which is a TV series. He's producing it, so not necessarily directing it. But man, I just love his films so much. All right, sorry, go ahead.
But he's
Enough
not in
Scorsese
The Social
fanboying.
Network. Yeah.
It's a Scorsese film. There's a lot of death.
No, it's very much a Fincher film. I love. So what do you guys think of the direction? Like as far as the pacing, the scene.
I thought it was very well paced. I thought I struggle with movies where you get like those big kind of boring kind of in the middles. Now, if you get it done right, where they're kind of you get those slower moments, that's okay. We watched some movies, not too long ago that's got the slower movies, like Tarantino movies have some of those slower moments, but they're framed right and stuff. But in this one, even if it was a little bit, it was a little bit slow paced, but I thought it was appropriate actually.
Mhm.
I never felt bored or anything like that in any way, shape, or form. Throughout the whole movie, there was always something happening, something popping up, something going wrong that always kept my attention. As a matter of fact, I felt like it went fast, even though it was maybe kind of I'm not saying slow, a moderately paced film.
Mhm.
But I think the directorial, I thought it was well photographed. I thought I thought the way that it was directed was just great. The filmography of it all was really good.
Yeah, I mean the standout, like as far as like just cinematography and kind of put together and everything, I thought was the rowing competition and
Yeah.
in England, because that like the reharmonization of what is that classic that Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor did of that song? Crap, it's a classic song. I'm trying to figure out what it is real quick.
All those rowing scenes, I mean, beautiful. I mean, just thinking about them, very, very well shot. I love the aerials that he pulled in, and then he'd get kind of the side by side close ups.
Mm-hmm.
I very well done, very, very pretty.
Are
the way they do it.
you talking? You're talking about the Hall of the Mountain King?
Yeah, Hall of the Mountain King. Right, they did
Yep.
a reharmonization of Hall of the Mountain King.
Yeah,
Which
and
was-
pulled it off really well.
Yeah, just did an amazing job on that. And then on top of that, the kind of tilt frame style of it that
Mhm.
really stylized. I thought that was just really cool looking.
Absolutely.
And yeah, the pacing of it and everything. It's just a nice little, like, you could probably release that as a standalone vignette itself, and it would kind of make waves. So
No, it
And
was
just
definitely very well paced. Go ahead.
Nope, I'm good.
all right.
I don't know if I have more to say other than
So you didn't watch it all the way through last time.
yeah.
What was, obviously you're watching it for the podcast, so you'd watch it all the way through, but
Mhm.
do you remember why you stopped last time? Or was it just a timing thing, or wasn't as interesting, or?
I'm trying to think. Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, it was more of a time thing. It wasn't that I wasn't disliking it. I
Mhm.
think I caught it like on a cable channel, and I
Okay.
saw like a TBS or something like that. And I think I just watched as much as I could before I had to go somewhere.
So you didn't actually watch it in theaters originally or anything?
No, unfortunately, I
Okay.
didn't. And I know I didn't rent it. It had to have been something that was just on TV in passing that I watched, uh, because I don't ever remember sitting down and actually watching it per se. But it wasn't something that I was like, I went out of my way to watch it. Sometimes, I look at that and I'm like, oh, I look at those kind of movies and know I'll like them. But if there's something else that it's a little bit more like to my liking, I'll overlook it. And this is
Mhm.
one of those ones I might have overlooked, even though it was always on my mind. I wanted to see it. And then I most likely, I remember seeing it on TV. And I remember thinking to myself, I wanted to go back and see the rest.
Just
But
never got it right back around to it.
no, just never had that opportunity. And every time I'd see it again, go, oh, I've had it in a few queues in the past on Hulu or Netflix. But again, this was just the opportunity to watch it. There's a lot of movies I have that are on my lists of things I want to see, but I haven't seen them yet because it's just either I hadn't found it on my own, or I haven't been around the right people that wanted to watch it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because these are movies that I don't know if my family would want to sit down to necessarily and watch. Juliana would like this movie, but nobody. But that's the hard time. Sometimes it's hard to find those times to sit
Yeah.
down and watch a movie like this. So, anyways, that's the only reason. It wasn't because I disliked it. Now, there's some movies that we've watched where I've seen it all the way through and just absolutely disliked it in so many ways. We just recently watched, uh, what's that movie you just watched? The Versus the World. Scott Pilgrim.
Scott
There we go.
Pilgrim.
Yeah, it's too late. It's starting to get late at night. Scott Pilgrim, where I was just like, I don't know what I'm watching here, but and then just didn't ever want to watch it again and stuff. But this one I always wanted to continue on, but never did.
Gotcha. All
Yeah,
right.
man. Yeah.
So the moral of the story, Josh, is when you feel like you need to stop a movie, keep watching it because then you'll like it.
Oh, it's happened with so many movies. And it used to happen more back when I had cable, where I'd be, surfing and I'd watch like a piece of a movie, and then I'd be like, oh, I need to watch that whole thing. When's it come on? And then never like watch the whole thing. There's been a couple of the, I think one of the later Bourne movies that happened with, and eventually I got back to it. But yeah, it's, it started with, oh, I haven't seen this yet. And then I didn't get back to it for all after seeing a piece.
Mhm.
you know we always joke with my father-in-law. He doesn't do this much these days, but he used to like we used to joke with him with the Bourne movies that he's seen the whole movie at least in pieces and parts, because he'll fall asleep for a while and wake up in another part, or sometimes he always
Mhm.
sees the same part over and over again because he's been napping through that one part.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
Well,
that's
I
happened to
will
me too.
say that this movie made me almost immediately watch Steve Jobs afterwards.
Yeah.
Really, it triggered you
Loved
to
that
rewatch
film.
it.
Oh yeah, I love Steve Jobs. It blew me away the first time I watched it. So watching that
Yeah.
again was great.
Which one is that? Who's the actor in that one?
Michael Fassbender.
And he does a great job.
Oh my gosh, he knocks it out of the freaking park.
He's a good actor.
Yeah.
And then Seth Rogen is Wozniak.
Yeah.
But man,
Really, is he a good Wozniak?
he was pretty good.
He's pretty
But Fassbender steals the show, man.
good. Yeah.
Like I was captivated by his performance. And I want to say my first introduction to Michael Fassbender, I hesitate to say it was X-Men. I hope it wasn't. Because I don't want my introduction to him to be X-Men.
What's really bad is the two movies I can think of that he's in that I've seen is X-Men or the Alien Covenant movies.
Well, and he's in 300. Yeah.
There's another movie that I saw only like partially on TV, and then I think I was forced to watch it at one point by somebody.
Yeah. No,
I meant forced.
Inglorious Bastards was the first one I watched him in.
Oh, he's good in that one too. I forget he's in that.
Oh man, that whole cast is great.
Well,
We
I mean,
should
if you
that.
if
Go
you
ahead.
like The Social Network and you like Steve Jobs, I think the best you could, you probably would really like Studio 60 on the Sunset Boulevard or Sunset Strip. I think it might be
Okay.
Sunset Strip. And then if you can go back and watch The West Wing, because I think you'll like that. There's a lot of great characters and writing in there from Sorkin that I
Okay.
think you'll really enjoy if you like those.
Okay.
It gives you a lot to watch because they're both, kind of longish series.
That's fine. I have to watch something when I'm holding the baby. So.
Yep. Yeah. I think you'll like them a lot.
Oh, it's on HBO Max. So.
Mm-hmm.
Which one's that one? It's on HBO Max.
West Wing.
Yeah.
So.
It's been in a
I'll
few
start my
spots.
watch of
Sometimes
that
it's
then.
on there. It used to be on Hulu, but I think a lot of things moved to HBO Max when it came around.
So do we want to give ratings?
Let's do ratings. If everybody's done, well, you can do ratings.
All right.
All right. Let's do. I'm gonna have you guys, both you two, go first, and I'll be the last.
Okay.
Go ahead, Crit.
I will do 9,500 out of 10,000 lawyers.
It's a lot of lawyers.
There's a lot of lawyers.
It's too many lawyers.
And I'd watch this with my mom. I mean, that's pretty no-brainer. I don't know how much she'd actually enjoy it, but I'd watch it.
You don't think she would enjoy this?
I don't think so. I don't.
Not her style.
No, I think the technical aspect might make her hesitant to really connect with the characters, I guess. So I don't know. She might. I could be absolutely wrong, but I don't think so.
That's awesome. Okay. I just find it interesting, like which ones do you think she would and doesn't? It's yeah. Sometimes I wouldn't have picked it, that the ones that she wouldn't be interested in. All right. For my rating, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10 likes. And I would definitely buy this movie. I like it a lot. And without a doubt, I would rewatch this movie. And I very much enjoyed this because, when I enjoy a movie, it's you don't feel like, it always feels like time passed very quickly in it. And this one, I think it went by really quick in the way that was because I was just enjoying it so much. So yeah, good movie pick on this, Crit.
Cool.
And
I'm
not
glad
me.
you liked it.
You bet. All right. Let us talk about this next month's topic. This next month's topic is being given by me. And are you guys ready for it?
Yep.
Okay.
If it's romantic comedy again, I'll kill you.
No, I think this one's a little bit up here.
It's
A little bit more
romantic
drama.
tragedy.
Romantic
Oh,
tragedy.
jeez.
It's a romantic drama. No.
I will rage quit.
This is one I've been wanting to do for a little while, just because I like it a lot. This next month's topic is utopian or dystopian science fiction movies. Okay. So I went with both, so you can go either or. Gives you a couple more options on that. And here are my 3 picks. Okay. Number 1. What is mightier than a sword or a gun? Okay. Number 2. This movie has your daily source of vitamins and minerals. Number 3. You don't have to be perfect to like this movie.
Number 2 sounds like Soylent Green.
I
You
have
wanna
no
hear 'em
strong
again?
feelings so far. What do you think, John?
I have no other than the second one. I don't necessarily know if I'd go for the second one. I feel like that's either Soylent Green, maybe Equilibrium. I don't know.
Equilibrium. Okay.
That's such a good one. Well, they take that stupid supplement the whole time.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
It's true. Okay, so
and I don't know how Josh minds work.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go with 2 simply because I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, we're going with 2.
Okay.
All right.
I'm fine with that.
You number 2?
Yeah.
All right.
Final
Number
answer,
1.
go.
What is mightier than a sword or a gun? Equilibrium.
Is it really the
It
first?
really
one?
is.
I
I love Equilibrium a lot.
the gun jitsu
Gunjitsu.
gun-
I thought you guys would have picked it up
Gunkata.
off that one.
or
That
gun
was-
kata. Yeah, you're right.
That
Sorry,
was
gun
Gunkata.
kata.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah, I
that
think you're right.
movie.
I've seen that movie. Yeah.
Oh, I've seen it a dozen times.
All right. I own it. Anyways. Number 3. You don't have to be perfect to like this movie. Gattaca.
Okay, that's a good movie.
That is a very good movie.
So
It took me a
good.
while to realize that the name of the movie was freaking a DNA sequence.
Uh huh.
Oh my gosh, when I got that, I felt so stupid. I was just like, are you freaking kidding me?
It's not obvious. Yeah.
No, it's definitely not obvious. It took me a while too, John. All right.
Yeah.
And the one that you picked. This movie has your daily source of vitamins and minerals. Snowpiercer.
Oh,
Okay.
heck yes.
Oh, John,
And you know
Oh,
why
yeah.
it's got your source of vitamins and minerals? Because what are they?
Because
eat?
you're, yeah. Well, we can't talk about it. We gotta wait till next week. I freaking love Snowpiercer.
I had a feeling that
I love the whole
I had a
concept. of
feeling
it.
I had 3 good movies that you guys would all be okay with.
Yeah. No, Snowpiercer's great.
And
then,
these
this
are-
new series on HBO Max with Daveed Diggs.
Oh, I want to see it really bad. I really do.
It's so good.
So, anyways, Snowpiercer it is, guys. I'm glad you like the picks and stuff like that. I'm excited for it. I've been excited for 2 weeks for these picks. But too bad we can't talk about them right now. We'll have to do it next week and stuff. Well, guys, I think this was a great podcast. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for trying out our new tech that we're hopefully went well or not.
Yeah, if it lost the
It
recording.
better have
completely.
recorded.
You should have run a backup one just in case.
I should. Well, it's supposed to have a local and a backup to 2 of them.
Okay.
It actually
We can
has
talk
2
yeah.
itself, which is the reason why I went with it. So,
All right.
anyways, and to everybody out there listening, thank you for supporting our channel. Please click the like button if you liked what you heard here. And as always, may you be excellent to each other and live long and prosper from all of us here at Josh's House of Nerd. Good night.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesome